Well, the old wheel is really stripped down, and I'm tired, but I'm going to continue on because it's supposed to get really cold, and so I thought I'd try to get this thing turning tonight. Alright, so here's a quick little demonstration. I took all the other ugly coils off, and I can kind of play and pulse a little bit here. You'll see what I've got. This isn't real strong. There's too much wire on that one, but they're in parallel. Let me see if I can get my timing right. Whoop. Oh boy, I'm no good at this. Well, anyway, I get the relay going, and it's all about the timing. It's also about having a good set of contacts. Instead of copper on copper, you need some good contacts. Anyway, over and out for a bit. Ta-da-da-da-da. Okay, folks, there it is. Now, a couple things to point out here before I turn this on. This wire right here is just two little coils in parallel. They could be in series. I've got way too many of them on there. If I had magnet wire, I wouldn't need much at all. But anyway, this is 16, and 16 will go on here perfectly to do what I'm about to demonstrate. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 poles consumed on this wheel. This is a sweet 24, not a sweet 16. We've got to find some of those old 16s. Okay, so this relay that is like the one down at the castle, and Roy and I got his wheel going with, is got magnets here. Basically, it does that because it's pulling when it goes by. Eds were electromagnets. That's what this is to kind of emulate, if you will. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on, and you can see that one direction, and my wheel is not balanced, therefore horizontal is better. But you'll see that it's turning fine. Horizontal would be going slowly, and that would be it. Now, this is how I believe it was supposed to go. And that's as simple as the other direction. Because now the timing is right. Now I'll connect up the relay to the switch that operates off the cam lobes. And you'll hear how this thing's supposed to go. just so you guys know, this is the first time this wheel's been plugged in and run for more than maybe 10 seconds. I kept trying to film it and the batteries died, so I had to keep going down, and this is it right here. If it dies on me, it'll be because Ed had the same problem, but it's looking like it'll continue on. Pretty reliable old machine. His Sweet 16. So now you can see the pool. There's 4 poles sucked up by the pool. And you'll see it in the door. If you were to take this thing and basically just spin it right around like that so that it ended up over here, right dead across, you'd have commutation going across. And that would be very similar to what the drawing on the door is. I don't even know if I have it timed right. It worked this way, I'm not going to mess with it. If that were cutting rocks, I'd be happy with that rhythm. That is cycling the stuff outside. I'll go out and show you. I think. You can even hear the ticking of the wheel. It's about 4 degrees out here. I got nominal acoustics right now. Relay up there, and there's one over in the little baby tripod. The big one's waiting to pick up my truck as soon as I find a 5-ton come along. Alright, we'll go back in and see how the wheel's doing. Still turning, obviously. And batteries are probably getting low because it's cold. But seems to be holding up. If you guys want, I'll keep filming. You can always hit your off button. Okay, I'm just going to set the camera down and let it go. Slowing down though. So that's why the black marks are around the top of Ed's wheel. Everybody wondered why the discoloration. The reason is, see that arcing? Over days and weeks and months and years of use, that actually builds up. All that carbon splatter. I'd rather have 4-leaf clover. See, mine's too slow. That clicking is too slow for the hammers out there. It should be not a lot faster, but a little faster. I've only got 3 of them on my wheel. Not even warm. And I'll show you why I think it's doing that. I have this iron bar with paint on it connecting to a copper pipe. So, can't be sure about that. I don't think those rocks being cut care too much. Seems to catch up with itself. I have lawnmower batteries, remember, and it's cold. So I can almost hear the voltage drooping just a bit. It'll be interesting. I'll report how long it'll go. Maybe I'll report with this one. I'll just let it go. Well, the yoke is still cycling. Both relays in the field are picking up, and the yoke is cycling off the one little battery on the top. So it's kind of amazing this thing's still going actually this long. I'm surprised for little cold lawnmower batteries and one dead car battery. Those coils aren't warming up at all. I could probably take a few off and get a little better response out of it. Because I'm in the sweet spot. If I take a few coils off, that'll make a little less resistance, which will allow the batteries to push a little more amperage to pull that a little quicker. But my sweet spot on the side is a little more current, a little more heat generation. So you hit the ceiling. And the reason it hiccups, I believe, is merely the contacts. Contacts are, at this primitive iron and copper stage, basically performing little comet explosions on the moon and then splatter those everywhere, and it's kind of messy. Silver does not do that. Silver oxide does not do that. It just liquefies for a split second and remoltenizes or solidifies. Moltenizes. You guys are following me on that. Anyway, you get a really good contact because the big secret is this. Even after it's all done and it's all garbage and crappy and carbonized up, silver oxide conducts almost as good as the silver itself. Copper oxide and iron oxide obviously don't. Iron oxide is rust. And that's actually what ends up on those contacts over the time of arcing and sparking and blasting and ozoning and transfer. Well, that little one is warming up just a little bit. And this is THHN. This is plastic garbage. And believe me, if you don't find the sweet spot, that will happen. Yeah. Sawzall's the only way out. Can't even peel one off. You got two different songs to sing to here. You got the relay rhythm, but since mine, here's something about harmonics and piano tuning. I've got 3. If I had 4, I think I'd find the rhythm a little easier. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. Because there's 24 poles. The relay hammers 8 poles, 2 per whack, every time the switch goes once. Because I've got 3, not 4. Actually, this works okay for any song. And when you've been quarrying all day, cutting rocks, and this is all you hear, or even worse, that clicking back and forth, whoop-pa, 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 whoop-pa. I'm working on the wheel. Road, slowing the wheel on down. Burn off a little contact dump. I don't even know how long it's been. No, folks, the reason I do the curly Q wires is somewhat artistic. Some of it's because, like, if it's going into something that moves, I got a coil in the back, so it acts as a flex. So the wire doesn't push like this, it has a spring to bend. Because copper will mechanically harden. I think it's called work hardening. So if it were summertime and I had a bunch of batteries in those boxes at the tops of the tripods, this wouldn't deviate because the batteries at the tops of the tripods are merely to feed the yokes that they feed. They'd be connected to the same grid and power source, so if it really got dead in the wheelhouse or in the castle room, those batteries would help come back if one got dead. like maybe this one is now, because this one here is almost shot. It won't even start a car. As it's slowing down, I'm sure that's because the whole system is starting to lose a little bit of ampacity, because we've been cranking that engine for a little while. But if I really want to get good, I'll get an amp meter and a voltmeter out, and I'll demonstrate just how much power goes in and out. And here's pop back up again, who knows? And of course, later on, I will do the empirical data gathering to get all these numbers right. Look at it go now. So the voltage is probably just fine, and it's contact closure. I don't even know how long I've had this thing going. 20 minutes or so. Well, that's nothing if you're going to build Coral Castle. I mean Rotten Gate Park. Yeah, and like I've told people, where I am was Stonegate Studios. And you guys are going to freak out, because I went out back the other day, and I was cutting firewood, and the property line goes into the woods. But the woods is woods. It goes a long ways from here up back. And this place used to be called the Comet Place. Like the comet, Halley's Comet. Spelled with 2 T's. Anyway, you go to my website, you go to the contact me, and the Google map is directed right where I am. For the bombs. Anyway, you'll see that it's Stonegate Road, next to Russell Road, and so on and so forth. Well, out back, there's 2 places on this Comet Place. There's sites all over buildings. There's a old foundation out back here, and there's one up by the tree house where the hired hand. This is an old farm site from 150 or more years ago. Make a long story short, which is going to be long as this thing keeps turning, storytelling time. As long as the batteries can hold up. Anyway, I cleaned up all the old shoes and goodies out on this one here, glass bottles and crap, old brown Clorox bottles with the name Clorox cast right into the bottom. They don't make those anymore. Well, out back, there are a couple of old fenders and there's a hood, and my wife comes up and shows me this picture. For all this time, I thought maybe that was a Model T buried out there. It's so close, it's scary. I'll put that up sometime, because it's still out there. Right now it's frozen in, there's no way I can get it out. And I know a guy right here, he's a millionaire, but across town, he found an old Model T buried in the woods, and literally dug it up, and apparently was able to get the thing going again. With some help. Now that's a local story. I could go find out where the car is and such. But anyway, the old days they didn't have any place or easy ways to get the stuff back. They just buried it in the woods or just dumped it in the site. I know in Fletcher, Vermont here, there's a couple old ravines loaded with old garbage. Kind of treasure troves, really, if you don't mind digging. Well, anyway, that thing outside ought to be connected up to the blade behind me, and it could actually cut the ledge, which is my next mission. Because obviously you see now that this wheel here turning this long is what everybody was wondering if that was possible. Well, what you see before you folks after 20 minutes, and that small coil is just warming up in case I get cold, I can use it for a minute. And unless something fails otherwise, contacts or so, this thing will continue to do this. And if I were to go out and like connect my truck up to the grid, I could backfeed it and charge it up while it was running, which is probably what Ed did down there. That's the versatility of this machine. See, everyone says he didn't have electricity. Well, that's not quite true. He had electricity. He just wasn't connected to the AC grid. He had Model T batteries everywhere. And also, I've got little little lawnmower headlights I've been leaving on at night here. I did that last night, 3 or 4 of them. So the voltage that's in the battery bank outside is running this now, after I had the lights on all night long. And granted, they're nothing special. They're basically this here. But I left them on all night long. And I know that that battery voltage is fading because I did leave these on all night long and they were a lot brighter last night. That's duller than they were last night. Just a little duller, not much. If I could put my truck on it and charge it, those lights would brighten up. And you can see the lights actually cycle upon NPH surge. And you get the darn thing connected without killing the machine. There's my voltage drop indicator. I suppose if I put the right balance on capacitors in here somewhere like Ed had, he tuned it right up so that pulse was coming off of here a little smoother. I'd get less arcing, I'd get a little less fluctuation. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to do that. I might, just to play, but I'm not tonight. It's too cold outside. I've got to go in and finish my binding jig and make at least 100 first edition copies of A Visit from Ed. For anybody that wants a copy, you can email me. I've had a few people who really own land that want to try to do this for real offer to donate some money, because I might as well solicit to you folks now. Roy and I need to get together with all of our machines and go out and cut a coral block out of the ground and lift it with a tripod so that I can make a tub or a box out of it. Or we can all pound on it with hammers to our heart's content. Manually or with a machine. And I'm sure that relay was a little quieter. I've got a metal bar stopping neodymium magnets. So I'm sure Ed's were a little bit smoother. The fact he could tune the electromagnets made it a little quieter, and maybe also could adjust his timing depending on the inertial response of the mechanism tied to the magnetic force. He could change the system a little bit. I can't. I could by altering the spring or moving those magnets in their little set screws. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So anyway, I'm going to ask $100 for one of those original first edition printings because I'm making them here. I'm building my own exclusive embossing stamp. It'll be the only first real truth about the actual Coral Castle machine ever. And I can say this, it'll end up on Antiques Roadshow 100 years from now. This Coral Castle is not going to go away, and neither will this truth, and neither will all the coincidences in my life, and neither will the place I'm on, and neither will the first printing that tells everybody what went on. The second printing will have pictures, but the first printing is my own creation right here at Stonegate Studios. And anybody that wants one will hopefully understand that $100 is probably a small price to pay for the whole thing in general. It's not about the money, really. It's the only way I can get cutting a block. But it'll also be something someone can invest in and know that it is an investment. I'm trying to create a mystery. Not very good at it because I'm kind of a garage cat. But I come from an artistic family that has vision, so I'm hoping this will be part of the whole network of getting my next step accomplished. Our next step. For me, I gotta get out of Vermont. Roy and Seth are down at the castle tomorrow. Wish they could be there. But they'll see this shortly. So anyway, I don't have them printed yet, but I'll make them. I've got to make a press. I got to make a jig. I got to get a book trimmer. I don't want them too rustic and authentic. It'll be rustic enough as it is. I won't spill coffee, but I'll sign them and I'll emboss them. And I'll mail them to anybody that wants one. Then there'll be like 1,000 second edition printings with pictures that I'll have someone local print up, and I'll still make the books and then send off for a reasonable, significant quantity of compensation donation. And then the third one will be like Ed's book, Magnetic Current, Mineral, Animal, Vegetable, and or a book in every home, a small little $5.95 Amazon special. Because I'm sure that's where it'll go. And then, after all this is done, this revelation of the actual technical, I've got to go quarry, I've got to go extract, and I've got to lift and set blocks on other blocks, and then carve them, and then write the collaborative book with everyone who's ever done any of this. All of you guys, I'm not going to mention names, but I'm just going to say all of you guys, you know who you are. We'll compile the multi-royalty collaborative Castle case closed book ever. And that will truly be a book in every home. I'd want one. If I got one for Christmas even, I'd probably go, wow! You know what? I never heard of this place. And you know what? I read this book. And you know what? This is a really, really cool story. It started almost 100 years ago. Well, anyway, folks, just like Seth said, Seth, we haven't met yet, but you're exactly right. There were multiple PM8 sizes. Ed knew this was a universal U-shaped electromagnetic device that can do many things, as he described in magnetic current. As you can see right here, as you can see down at Roy's with his little V magnets, look at what we did a few months ago. I'm sure that some of those U-shaped stock down there's one on the wall now that is kind of small, but a bunch of them would pull Ed's wheel. But again, also just imagine one that was like the big one, just a little smaller and bent more to conform to Ed's wheel. Just like mine. And I know that's what Ed did. He just didn't use the one that's sized out in magnetic current. And if he did, I would be quite impressed, because I believe that it's possible. For anybody that wants to continue this on, it's possible that the saturable reactor effect and inductive snap of that giant inductor placed in the hole down in the ground tube might cause a delay in the collapsing of the field that would cause the polarity swap here to push it back for the moment of perfectly timed collapsing resonance. Maybe Ed got that deep. And for anybody that heard what I just said, that's the only real RLC circuit in this whole thing that's going to make any more sense to nominalize its efficiency. And that can be done with a bottle, with a capacitor, just like a capacitor run, capacitor start. That cap delays the field enough to cause this whole U-shaped collapsing to give it a subtle push-me-pull-you, and we'd have a lot less arcing, and we'd probably suck less power eventually, and the wheel might run a little smoother. Even though the wheel's not running smoothly, unsmoothly now, it's the relay that's bouncing a little, but I'm guessing if I put the relay a little farther away, it might not react so quickly and hit so hard. It might make it do the like it just did. Just like that damn clock I got in the studio. All of a sudden it picks up time for a second and then goes back to its overall mean average. Rhythm of it. Ding dong. Well, remember again, that yoke's out there just a pumping away. If I'd had it connected, I'd have done probably, I don't know, in coral, I bet I'd have made my way in quite a ways now. A good inch or two. I'm guessing, I don't know. I know that this saw back here at that rate would be in about 1/4 of an inch into concrete, and that's still not bad for something 100 years old. Cutting into concrete with a current diamond blade. Well, I don't know, folks. I'm getting cold in this here garage. Wood stove's dying out. My boots were frozen to the entryway tile this morning. Okay, folks. Well, the machine didn't die, the camera did. I ran out of memory, so I went in and cleaned it up. I ate supper. It's below zero out now. I'm pretty much at my crossroads here. This machine runs pretty good, as you've just seen. I'm going to write A Visit from Ed, the first edition printing out of my own house, with a exclusive embossed cover. I'm going to sign it personally, and I will send them out to anybody that wants to donate like $100. I know that sounds steep, but I'm keeping a fund separately so that I can go down, and my next step, hopefully through the funding of this little collector's item book, which will be the revelation of the future, believe it or not. I do believe that this is creating the mystery, and the mystery has been solved. And that little piece of paper that I will come up with will actually help launch me to step 2 and cut some coral rock, because I know I can, for those who have faith and want the collector's item for the future. Alright, I'll do it one way for a second. Battery's charged a little bit, so it's got a little bit of snap again, I think. That's the opposite direction, remember? It's almost moving as fast as it was the other way. So now I'll get it going the other way. Alright, well, I just added this little bit to close this video because I didn't want to be rude and terminate it. But I'll get to work and compile my little book and go from there. Hope you enjoyed this. This should be the one thing to reveal how this works. Pretty simple unit. 4 bulbs consumed. Just like the pool, just like the drawing on the metal door. Thanks for watching.